Hello, Todd Profit here with the State University of New York at Fredonia. This is another video for the Introduction to Lighting and Sound Technology. Today's video is on the functions of sound design. This is a follow-up video that I just did on the controllable qualities. Let's go ahead and begin. There are 5 basic functions of sound design. First is reinforcement, then it's vocal, substitution or alteration, information, mood, and music. Now, these are the 5 things that which sound can help enhance a theatrical production. The first is reinforcement. Reinforcement is essentially taking whatever live sound we have and amplifying it so an audience can hear. We need some basic tools for that. The first is microphones. Microphones are devices that take the sound in and send it in through a low voltage signal up to the next part in the line, which is the mixer. Now, before I move away from microphones, they come in a variety of shapes and sizes. They come in a variety of what we call polar patterns, which we'll talk about later, which is how they actually take the sound in. Because if I talk directly into my microphone, that works one way. But if I turn off to the side, you're not going to be able to hear me as well because I'm not actually talking into it, because the microphone itself has a very specific polar pattern. We also use wireless mics a lot. Wireless mics are great because you can hide them. They're not as well seen. It helps us hide the illusion that we're actually amplifying. But it also allows performers to move around, and we don't have to have a mic cable on them. And they come in a variety of sizes. Now, they're much more expensive than other microphones, but they have a lot of advantages. After the sound gets into the microphone, it's going to go into some sort of mixer. These are just a bunch of different mixers here. We have digital and audio mixers. Digital and analog, mixers. And this is where the sound comes in. We mix it to the sound the way we want, and then we push that to an amplifier. Now, an amplifier just takes that sound that's a very low voltage and puts it into a big voltage so it can push air through a speaker. And we place these all around our theater, coming from different places so that our audience can hear what's going on. This is going to push air and sound and going to create sound for the audience. The next one we can do is, the next function of sound design is vocal substitution or alteration. Sometimes when it comes to substitution, we're just doing things like, or alteration, when we're doing alteration, it can be something as simple as equalization. Equalization is, getting the right one here, is something like you actually take and you take the frequencies and tweak each the frequencies individually or as a group, and it just makes it sound better. This is a graphic equalizer. This is a parametric equalizer. The biggest difference between the two is you have, on a parametric equalizer, you only have 4 or 5 points that you can actually deal with at a time, whereas but you have more range and more flexibility. With a graphic equalizer, which is this one here, you have more ranges you can touch, but they're limited ranges, and they're limited how wide they can actually go. So that's equalization. Sometimes we'll do effects, and here's an example of an effects processor. Most effects processors are actually just done on the soundboard itself. I've got a really inexpensive little soundboard here, and if I click a button, I've got some basic effects. Now, what effects are for? It's adding reverb. It's distorting the voice. It's just making it sound a little different. So, like this might tell you that I'm in a cave, But it's effects can't use effectively. No pun intended. Can really help set the mood or give some basic information for a play. The next is compression. Now, compression, you're not going to really hear as an audience member, but you are going to be altering the voice just a little bit, or more importantly, altering the intensity that it comes out. What compression does is it protects the microphone and the equipment from if it gets too loud of a noise. So if it detects that it's getting too loud of a noise, you physically can't react quick enough to get some of those sounds out. So what you need a compressor on there just to sort of help make sure that that it's protected and the volume doesn't go too high. And then next would be vocal substitution. That's where you're actually coming in and substituting one voice for another, and you might do that with a recorded voice. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is information. Now, information can tell you a lot. You do it usually through sound effects. It can tell you the time of day. It can tell you the place, the space, or it can tell you the dramatic style. So let's do a little test here. So if I were to play this sound right here, what does that tell us? Okay, that tells us that we're probably in a snowstorm. No, we're on a beach. Okay, and it's and there are lots of crashing waves. Is there a specific time of day here? Probably not. Okay, now we can, by choosing a different effect, kind of get a different feeling. So here's another one. Here's some more water. But we can also move. What is this telling us? It's telling us it's probably raining. It's probably dark outside. Here's a little lighter rain, a little different sounding rain. A heavier sounding rain. These are all rain effects, but they're all a little different, and they can all set a different mood. They can all set give us a different atmosphere. Sorry, I think this might have been a little too loud. Okay, or it could also tell us that, we're maybe not in a realistic place. Well, this immediately takes us to probably Star Wars or something like that. But it's definitely not realism that we're dealing with. So it could tell us that it's not part of the dramatic style. Let me just go ahead and bring this app over so you can see it. This is just a quick little sound effects app that I picked up today to help show some different examples of how we could do time and place. Okay, now mood. Let's go back to that same sound effect. What kind of mood does that sound effect give us, as opposed to maybe this sound effect? Okay, sound is a great way to give us an emotional response. Okay, so what sound effect you choose can also help set that mood. So let me just scroll down here. I can't remember if we had a thunderstorm. Yeah. So we've got one type of rainstorm here. That's one mood, but if I throw in another one that's got thunder, it's going to set that very, very different mood. Let's do a waterfall and a fountain. So that's heavier. That's a little more dramatic. This is a little more comfortable. Rolling water. Okay. Let's go out to the forest. So some nice quiet birds. Different birds, just maybe not any less quiet. All right. Now, what does this one tell us? I know we skipped for a mood, but time of day, this feels like a little more nighttime or getting towards dusk. But again, you get a very different emotional response from each one of these. The desert as compared to the snowstorm, which doesn't sound that different from rain where we are, or the nice comfortable fire, or the calming wind chimes, can all help set us a very different mood. Okay, and then last one I'll do for mood is the heartbeat. Particularly if we speed this up or slow this down, can have a very different emotional response. Okay, the last is music. Now, music as a function has always been a hard one for me to explain, but essentially what it is oftentimes music is an integral part of plays. If it's a musical, of course it is. It's built right into the dramatic structure. But a lot of times we'll have underscoring, which is needed. Now, you always have to be careful with underscoring. The thing we have to remember is we are not a movie. Okay. Movies use underscoring more heavily because they don't have that emotional connection of an actor there. And I don't think theater needs that. It is good to use. We do use it all the time. But if you're going to use it, make sure you're not trying to score it as if it were a movie, because we do have the actors there who are going to help get some of that emotional response. Okay. Sometimes there's just music called for the script. It's called for whether it's in a musical or maybe it's a, or maybe it's just like there's a radio playing in the background. There's a band or a small orchestra playing off to the side, like the Cherry Orchard. It calls for a band to be playing or a small string group to be playing off stage. The last way you'll see music is transitional music. Oftentimes it's essentially underscoring for the transitions, but transition music is a great way to help get us from scene to scene. Okay, and then music can also be used for pre-show music and post-show music, which is essentially just longer forms of transitional music. For pre-show music, it's getting the audience involved, getting the audience ready for what they're going to see, and you want to get them in that right mood for the play they're going to see, or maybe it's get them in the right period. Maybe you want a specific period music in which you're going to help draw the audience in. So let's say we were doing something at the holidays, the winter holidays, to get them in the mood. Other than wearing fun hats, we might put on, say, Christmas or holiday music to help get them in the spirit. Okay, so again, these are the 5 functions of stage lighting. That's reinforcement, focal substitution or alteration, information, mood, and music. Thank you.